Today I'm going to show you how to add a simple quiz to eLearning. So first of all, let's start by going to our let's get logged in. And I want you to be aware of this. Actually, first off, I would have a pencil and paper handy so you can do a step-by-step instruction if you want. And follow along and create your own map of how to do this. Next, let's talk about this. Just keep in mind this is a toggle switch for this sidebar. You can turn it on, you can turn it off. When you turn it off, it actually cleans up your page and makes it easier to navigate and easier to see things. So I've created a test course and put myself in as an instructor. And once we get to that test course, let's turn editing on. And let's get rid of this. And go down to the week of the 17th of February. Now I've already created a quiz here. That's the one we'll be using, but I'm going to show you how to add a quiz. What the first thing is that you need to do. You need to go down to add an activity or a resource. Select quiz and click add. So that is the first page you'll see when you're creating a quiz. Now I'm going to go back to the quiz I already created. And I'm going to go over here to edit settings. It'll take me back to the page that you had just seen. So when you set up the quiz, you get the blank page, the blank settings page. So what I did here is I created a quiz, setting up a quiz, put a description in how to set up a quiz. You'll need to set up timing. You can enable this or disable it. I have it enabled. It's entirely up to how you want the quiz to show. I set it up for starting today at 11 o'clock and it's ending in 2 days on the 21st at 11 o'clock. I set up a time limit for 45 minutes. I would advise you not to set this up more than 50 minutes or so. People have a tendency to walk away and leave it, and then it times out for them and they wonder why they didn't get graded. Which comes to this: open attempts are submitted automatically. So if there's nothing there, or if they attempted something, once time runs out, that's what they get. They get a 0 for no answer. There's a grace period when open attempts can be submitted, but no more questions answered. You could use that one. Attempts must be submitted before time expires, or they are not counted. So if they got a quiz open and they walk away, they get a 0 once time expires. Here you set up the grade. You select the category in the grade book you want it to fall under. I selected section tests. Grade to pass you don't have to worry about. Attempts allowed, that's your discretion. If you want more than one, let's say you have 3, then you get the option of how you want it to be graded: highest grade, average grade, first attempt, or last attempt. Just going to leave it at 1 for there. Layout. I would suggest at least 50 questions per page. If you set it for, you don't want a whole bunch of pages opening up. So if they do 2 questions, then they have to go to the next page. It gets very confusing. So I would set it to at least 50 questions per page, or look into this one, this category. And you can always come back into settings and change that. Navigation method, I would leave it set to default. Question behavior. And some of these you won't even have to look at. Shuffle within questions, I would say no. You don't want to have a multiple choice that says all of the above and all of the above be the first answer in the multiple choice. So I would leave that as no. Review options, and this one gets really confusing. One thing that'll confuse you is if you have this open, it shrinks the page up, and then it just confuses you more. So I would close that, and I would advise you to not have anything selected except the last one. After the quiz is closed, the attempt will show whether you're correct, the marks, the points they get, specific feedback, general feedback, right answer, and overall feedback. I would suggest just these, but that's your discretion also. And also I would advise you to take a couple practice tests yourself just to see how this works. Appearance, you won't even have to worry about that unless you want their image to appear. You don't want blocks to show during. So appearance, I would leave that as default. Extra restrictions. This is where you can set up a password for them to open the test. Say if you got it proctored and you want them to get in with a password, or if you want them to have only be able to access with a password, then you can set a password up. Browser security, full screen with pop up with JavaScript security. That way they can't copy and paste, they can't open up another window. It just keeps them from being able to browse the internet for answers or anything like that. So I would leave this. I would set this to full screen pop-up with Java security. Overall feedback, once again, that's your discretion. Module settings, you don't have to worry about that one, except you want this set to no groups unless you have a group set up in your course. Restrict access, don't worry about that. Activity completion, I wouldn't worry about that one yet. That might be something you use in the future. Competencies, also that might be something you use in the future, but you don't really have to worry about any of these. So you'll be worrying about the grade, the layout, question behavior, review options, which is really important, decimal places you may be concerned about, but appearance you might not have to worry about. Extra restrictions, remember full screen pop-up with some JavaScript security, or if you want to set a password up for them to access the test. Common module settings, the only thing you have to worry about is no groups, and that's the default. So basically that's it. You want to save and display, which will take you to the area where you put the questions in. It's going to give you a warning, no questions have been added. You want to edit quiz again. Here it's going to give you the option to add questions. Add questions from question bank, which in most cases you're going to have. Now in this course I added to the question bank 3 chapters. I put them under this category. So let's say you're giving a 3-chapter quiz. Select chapter 1, and let's select 10 questions from chapter 1. 2 dots means they're true-false questions. The dots and the dashes, in this case, are multiple choice, and you can see a mouse over on each one. True, false, multiple choice. Essay type question. So let's select. Well, let's not select yet, but let's show you what it looks like. You can preview them here. And see what the question consists of. And you can also edit these questions. Let's preview a multiple choice. And let's preview true, false. You can also other ways to preview it. I'll show you the correct answer. You can select it. It's going to tell you whether it's correct or wrong. So you have an option of seeing each one of these questions. Now the essay questions, you'll have to, these will all grade themselves. The true, false, the fill in the blank, and the matching type questions, which we haven't seen yet. But the fill in the essay and the short answer, you'll have to go back in and correct them, and that's very easy once the test is submitted. So let's select 10 questions from Chapter 1. Let's add selected questions to the quiz. So we should have 10. Okay, it's a 3-chapter quiz, so let's add from Chapter 2. We'll go up here to the question bank. And once again, let's add more questions. And then let's go to Chapter 3. Once again from the question bank. I should show you this before I go too far. You can also create your own questions. Or a random question. If you want to add a new question, you can create the question and add it, and that's another video that I'll probably put out to show you how to create your own question, or you can just try it on your own. I mean, you're not going to hurt anything. So for this video, let's just add questions from the question bank. We need 10 more. It's going to be a 30-question quiz. We'll go to Chapter 3. And let's just add five for multiple choice, 3 from true, false, and 2 from the essays. And then go down to the bottom, add selected questions to the quiz, and now you have a 30-point quiz. Maximum grade, let's say it's worth 100%. Let's say it's worth 30. It's 1 point per question. And you can change that down here, and then you can change this also. So if you want to give more points for the essay questions, you can edit that and add more points. So then what we want to do is we want to just click save. You've got your questions in. You can shuffle them. Let's go back to setting up a quiz. Once again, you get to edit settings in there. You can preview the quiz right there. Start attempt. It's pretty close to what the students are going to see when they take the test. It's got a timer over here. They're going to take the test, fill in the answers. And hit finish and submit down at the bottom. And what it's going to do is it's going to give them another option to finish and submit, another pop-up box. And that basically, that's all there is to setting up a quiz. And if you have any more questions, just come and see me and I'll walk you through it. Like I said, when you start this video, make sure you have a pencil and paper if you want written instructions, and follow through and write down the steps.